Hello again. So I'm so sorry the previous live got interrupted. I hope it will get saved at least. Apparently my phone overheated, so that was unfortunate. It's just literally turned off. I apologize about that. So okay, well, let's start again. So in the meantime, we just mixed the color here on the palette, the black gel paint and black gel polish. And now let's start the design. Who is joining right now? I apologize. My phone apparently overheated and it's just switched off itself. So sorry about that. So now let's start. So maybe with the first design I would like to do is very popular, like a zebra effect. Super easy, super fun. We just want to make sure that we have we start from the characteristic part of the zebra effect. So what would be a characteristic piece? It's that kind of like almost like a triangle part, the line that opens in the middle, and you're gonna use any liner brush. It doesn't have to be so thin. This is 000, but it doesn't have to be so thin. Actually 00 or 0 will work perfectly here. And now let's observe something. You see how the line is thicker in some parts and a little bit thinner in other? Well, you want to start painting your line in the part where you want your line to be thicker and pull it in direction where you want your line to be thinner and thinner. Because when we start painting the line, okay, so I'm gonna make sure that the brush is prepared. When I start painting a line, I always have more gel on the brush, and more I pull the line, I have less and less and less gel on the brush, and the line just results thinner and thinner. Okay, so now we're gonna do first line maybe opens to the left. Now the second line will start from the same point, but will gently open to the right. And the best thing about this kind of design, you can delicately make it wavy. You can actually press with your brush. In some parts you can press, in some parts you can lift. So after I did this first piece, now I can go back to the same point and pull this line in opposite direction. Okay, so now I have my first piece, and now I'm going to be dancing around it with other lines. Let me just check if the phone is charging here. We can let the phone for that apparently. I think it should be charging. I'm not sure. Okay. So now, once I have this piece, now I can make another smaller version of this inside. What is very important for this kind of nail art is that those lines shouldn't touch. I actually sabotaged myself. I should have made this more open, but it's okay. I would just have to be really, really careful and not touch this line to those with those lines. Very important. They should always be separated. So now I had a little mini version of this in the center. Next, you can decide, do you want to repeat anywhere this kind of part or this piece somewhere around, or do you want to just continue with simple lines that are gently like a little bit wavy if you like, or just soft, and play here with a thickness from thicker to thinner. Okay, so but sometimes you might want to have a line like this. Let's say thick. You see I'm starting from the middle on purpose because I want here a thicker piece, and I'm pulling the line towards the right side. The line becomes thinner and thinner and thinner because I have less and less gel on my brush. Then I can go back to the same point with another new charge of the gel on the brush, and now pull the same line first with the pressure, and more we will move forward, we reduce the pressure of the brush, but also we have less and less paint in the brush, so the line just results thinner and thinner. And in this way we can continue, and it's up to you how many of those lines you want to do, in what distance you put them, and how thick you make them. Very important that they look soft and you play with the thickness. So to not make it to make it a bit more interesting, I'm going to add another of those piece, but looking in this direction. So let's say from here, I will start another piece like that. And now open this line from the same point, now to the left. Okay. And then go back and extend this line here. What would be really important also is that the distance between all of those lines should be even. Okay, you don't want to have a lot of distance between one line and then another one line is very close. Very important, even distribution of lines on the nail. Otherwise, it will not look clean and elegant. So here, for example, we added another piece. Okay, so here we have this little space, and let's just complete it with more lines. And the rule I like to use is that if now here the line is ending thin, maybe I start here in opposite way, so with a thicker line, and then a thinner line ends on the opposite side. Okay, so the line will not look the same, all thin on one side and thick on the other side. So let's say here's a great example. You see how this is thick and ends thin? Great. Now on the opposite side, I'm going to start thicker and then end thinner here. Okay. And in case if you feel like you still want to make maybe another one like this, so it's like that line that splits, why not? Let's add it here. Perfect. And we have a little bit longer space. Okay. And the last piece just to fill in that space. Again, because it's ending thinner here, I think it would be good to start thicker line and then pull it in that direction. And generally, to make the nail look more elegant, I strongly advise always that the lines are moving diagonally and not horizontally. Let me cure this in the meantime. Not horizontally, because then the nail would look heavier, thicker, wider, shorter. When lines are moving diagonally, they make the nail look more elegant and slimmer. Vertically, also great. Only people that have nice and slim nails and long nails can afford, let's say, put design horizontally. Otherwise, everyone else should always make more diagonal movements. Okay, so this was our first example. Now let's do this one here and then this one. So leopard, super easy. I love leopard, and sometimes you can connect it next to tiger or zebra. You can connect different animals in one nail. But in case if you just want to do one, let me cure this a little bit more. In case if you want to just do one animal, it is very important the way how you're going to put those, how do you call this in English? Well, the leopard marks, I don't know, skin design. So maybe I'm going to use this background, or maybe this one. This maybe will be fun. No, this one. So what we can observe here is that the biggest parts I placed more in the center of the nail, and then more to the side I use smaller and smaller pieces. Now what you're going to use to create this effect is actually up to you. I personally love using dotting tool, wooden stick, and sometimes help myself with thin liner brush, detail brush, just to pull those little pieces or pull the line so it ends thin. But otherwise, I think it's just easier to do it with dotting tool. Okay, this is perfectly cured finally. So we're going to put it here. Now, I will actually use here the pure gel polish. Pure gel polish, because it's more liquid, it will be much easier to distribute with our dotting tool, while more dense gel paint will be a little bit more, I think it's just a bit more work. So this is a smaller size of the dotting tool, and we're going to start always, let me put it here so you can see. We're going to always start from the biggest pieces in the center of the nail. Okay, so to make the lower part, it's really easy. We don't have to make a full circle. We don't have to overthink it. You simply want to make a little, let's say like a little C shape or like a little moon. Okay, something like this. And then if you think about it, that this is like a little deformed circles with spaces. Well, think about here that you want to do like a circle, but with little spaces, and in between you just have little dots like this, right? So now every of little piece like that will be how we can say distributed in even distance from each other on the nail, and you just want to make sure they don't touch, okay, and they don't get confused together. So also another very important thing, each of those do a little bit different. Like this one starts in this way, maybe then it has like a little two pieces. But you see how easy it is to make it with dotting tools? Super easy. Now I have those two. I'm gonna maybe make another third one in between. Because what is another important part here is you don't want to put them perfectly organized in the line. We want to throw them on the nail and just make it look nice with a nice movement. Again, it will be more diagonal. So it means that bigger pieces will be moving diagonally through the nail, and the biggest pieces are concentrated in more central part of the nail, while more I will be going towards the bottom right. I will start slowly making smaller and smaller pieces. And when we are doing this work with dotting tool, we don't really even have to think about that too much. Literally, the dotting tool is doing all of the job for us. So I'm just literally drawing like little C and maybe put a little dot in front of it, right? And maybe here another little piece, bigger dot, smaller dot. And let's finish this part. So 1, 2, and then maybe another little one here, smaller and smaller, and then go to the opposite side to finish with slightly like a medium size. Okay, and every time I want to do a little dot, I simply recharge it in the gel polish. So I have enough gel. We just have to be really careful to not overdo it with the quantity of black gel. We don't want to have problems with curing. I see that maybe I need a little bit more here. I'm gonna put more black gel polish, and now smaller and smaller. So again, those are just like a little arch and maybe a little dot in front of it, and then towards diagonally towards the right upper side and lower left side. Here I'm going to start going a little bit with smaller elements, even sometimes just like finish with a little dot, just so that the composition looks more gentle. Very little. Okay. Just like little dots or half moon or little banana shapes. Again, we want them distributed evenly. So if you think that there's some little hole, well, we can add little tiny element. So now we see that it's gradually going smaller and smaller, and we would like this effect also here. So we already did go with a little bit smaller elements. So now we're just going to continue. One little banana-like line and a little dot in front of it. And here, just a little line. And now just the dots or little arched lines. And even here, like just to fill in that space, we can add pieces like that. Okay, and before we finish and cure, check if there's any empty like a hole on the nail, so you can add a little banana-like line or dot. So then once we are happy with the application, check if everything looks good. Now we're going to cure this for 1 minute, and then we put top coat on, gel top coat on top. So in the meantime that this is curing, let's do this one. I really like this kind of style, super easy. Again, just like when we do those lines, also here we would like to have the viscosity of gel that is maybe not as liquid as gel polish, so it won't be shrinking on the brush so easily. That's why I'm going to add the fresh amount of gel polish I applied here on the plate and mix it into that previous product we used, where we had mixed gel polish and black gel paint. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do this kind of design. Super pleasant to work with. And again, here we can see something very characteristic, very important for this design. All of those lines are in an even distance from each other, similar as here and similar as here. Also, we can notice that some parts of the lines, especially those in the center, are thicker, and more the line goes to the towards the edge of the nail, line becomes thinner and thinner and thinner. And this is really important, so this design looks elegant. So if I know that, now I'm gonna recharge my brush. Oh, the nail in the meantime cured. Let's put it here. Okay, and now let's start. So I'm gonna have to make sure I have enough gel on the brush, so the beginning of the line will be a little bit thicker, and I decide where will be the center of the design, because from that point all of the design will be starting, but in different directions. Okay, so let's say it starts here, and now slowly, don't rush it, press the brush and start pulling it with more pressure, and more you now approach to the side or front of the nail, reduce the pressure so the line becomes thinner and thinner and thinner. And now this line can be a bit wavy, it can be just a little bit softer looking. Okay, now let's do the same thing to the left side, and it will be up to you where this line is going, how much narrow it is or how much open to the left. I don't want to open it too much to the left because I would like to have another piece of design there, so I'm just going to open it like this, and again from thicker to thinner and thinner. And now I'm going to continue making other lines of the same type but in the center. And in case if you would like to modify the external part of this line, you can now shape it, make it a little bit thicker here in the center. So let's do another line like this in the center. Start again from the thicker piece, and then let's pull this line along the first one, and then thinner and thinner and thinner. Then recharge the brush and do the same thing to the left side. Thinner and thinner and thinner. Again, if you see that you would like to modify the outside portion of the line or inside, we can do it with the brush after. Okay, I just touched it unfortunately in one spot and I messed it up. Okay, so now we're gonna continue again in the same distance. Now once you decided with those first two lines what is the distance between those lines, now you have to keep it the same between all of the other lines on this nail. Okay, so you kind of give yourself an idea how the rest should look, and you simply follow the shape of the first line. The only thing that now everything is just becoming smaller and smaller and smaller, but the work is kind of done for you already because you're just following now the shape. And you always want to start from the thickest part of the line. You see that I'm not starting drawing those lines like from the outside and putting it in, simply because we have to remember at the very beginning when we start drawing the line. This is where the line is thickest. And then more we pull the line towards one or another side, the line becomes thinner and thinner simply because we have less and less gel on the brush. Okay, so now that we have our first piece ready, if you feel like you would like to flash cure it, totally fine. But generally, if you're using a nice consistency gel, you should be okay. You shouldn't need to flash cure it. And now I would like to have two more of this. One maybe opening here, occupying this space, and another one occupying this space, just like here. You can see there are three portions looking in different directions. So maybe let's start from this one. This one will be a little bit more open. Again, you want to start where is the center, and the center is where all of those three lines will be meeting together. So I'm going to start very close to the first piece, and I have to start with a similar thickness as the first one starts. It's very important for the design, so it is nice and in harmony. And also, since we decided how distant should be those lines from each other, we should now follow with the same distance this line from the first piece. And now once we establish the first shape, how wavy it is and how thick it is, you can now change it a little bit. Then we can continue with more smaller and smaller pieces in the center. So again, thicker piece in the beginning, in the center, and follow. They shouldn't touch. They should just be very next to each other, but without touching. Also, you don't want that maybe they are like moving in opposite direction, that one is waving up and the other one is waving down. It will be looking confusing. So just continue similar movement till the end of this this portion of the design. Then the other third part you can change and add a slightly different shape to your lines. Okay, so this is the second part ready. Now let's do the third one, the last one. And again, they will meet in the same point. So you're going to start here in the center with similar thickness of the line. Make sure that this line is not touching with other two. And here we establish how thick this piece is. And now pull this line along. Now, actually, we can't just decide how this one will move. Now we just have to follow the shape of those first two segments. So I'm just following, you see the shape of this one here. And I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to follow the shape of this line here. And it is very important, again, that it's in a even distance, just as we have in between other lines. And now this final piece is very quick because it's just probably even one line. I don't have space for more. But again, thickest line is in the center, and then more we pull, reduce the pressure of the brush, so the line becomes thinner and thinner and thinner. And of course, this kind of nail art, I think it will be a little bit heavy to put on every nail. So I think this is a good, like an accent nail. And then on other nails, we can just do pigment. Let me cure this. We can just do pigment, or we can do pigment and seal it with like an eggshell matte. So this is eggshell matte. Okay, this is matte top coat, matte gel top coat that has black particles. And for ladies that had my eggshell matte, this is a updated formula. It has more particles inside. It's a bit thinner particle, and it's just beautiful over those neon colors. And whenever you see like, oh, I would like this particle to be somewhere else and it positioned itself, that's okay. You're just going to take a little detail brush or needle or something, and just move the particle wherever you would like it to be. Okay, so there's no problem if you want to rearrange them. But look how cute finish it gives to a neon powder background. And in this way, even if there was some little imperfection, really nobody will see, because the actual matte top coat will simply camouflage the little imperfections. So it's a really great way to finish ombre effect. So here, let's apply gel top coat on all of the nails, and it's up to you if you prefer shiny or matte. So I will simply apply a matte top coat. I really love how they look in under matte, but in the end it's, you know, personal. We can do either. And I love that for those first few seconds we can see how this nail would look shiny, and then we will see how it will look matte. And in case if we say like, oh, now it was looking better shiny, well, then we can always go back and put the shiny top coat. So that's awesome. So this is how it will look shiny. This is how it looks matte. And now let's cure this and see what happens. So 60 seconds. And we're gonna see the final result. So this is something that is really a lot of fun. I find I just love pigments. And tomorrow or after tomorrow in another live demo, I'm gonna maybe do those designs where I use pigments and then I use texture gel. It's just such an awesome way how we can enhance this kind of designs. And you could do this also over animal patterns. Why not? Oh, this cured in the meantime, so let's see what we have here. So here is the result of today, of what we did today. I hope you play with pigments. It's such a lovely salon technique again. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will be happy to help. And thank you so much for staying here with me today for this live. Again, I'm gonna save it so you can watch it later when you have time. And I will see you tomorrow with another live and another nail art. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a lovely rest of the Sunday. Bye.